In the meantime, the world is navigating uncharted waters as the coronavirus forces nations into survival mode. Some leaders have already indicated that whatever they produce is reserved firstly for their own citizens. The pandemic is also forcing more countries to look inward for sustenance. So what about Jamaica? Andrew Laidley has been tracking that story and joins me now. Andrew, what is the level of threat to Jamaica?
Well, Vashan, about 60% of the food consumed in Jamaica is imported. So as you can imagine, the threat level is high. And with countries already implementing a ban on food export, Jamaica's vulnerability is increasing. Let's take a look at the imported food basket for a second. It's important to note that it's not just finished goods. We import large quantities of agricultural raw material, which is then processed and passed on to end users. So let's take a look at your everyday produce. It's like wheat, rice, corn, and sugar. Let's put things into context though. A food export ban could be devastating for Jamaica if, for example, we are not able to import wheat. Now that essentially means baked products like bread, cake, donuts, etc. would be out of production because there would be no flour. Or consider no rice or animal feed to maintain livestock. That's the grim reality of a food-dependent nation. As you'll hear in this report, that's why Jamaicans are being encouraged to start implementing a one-day local food ban.
For Jamaicans that feel that, well, you're patriotic, but you buy everything foreign, you're not really patriotic. You're just fooling yourself.
A damning critique from the president of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Lenworth Fulton. He's confident that Jamaica has adequate food supply for at least the next 6 months. What happens after that is anyone's guess. It brings the island's long-standing food security problem to the fore, but not because food isn't being produced locally. These stacks of vegetable produce are proof that Jamaica is producing. But even as global food trade tightens, Jamaican farmers complain that some of these produce are rotting in the fields because people refuse to eat Jamaican.
Over 40,000 pounds of ripe tomatoes spoiled now. Over 40,000, and this is how we live. So, as you can see, these are the smaller one them. These are the smaller one them. Then so they're not the green on them. And they will stay and spoil again because the boss is not sure if I come back and for the rather business.
All of this that you see out here, I probably have more on this on the ground. I think Jamaicans don't even eat vegetable because, as you can see, we have too much vegetable spoiling for us to have a problem with feeding ourselves.
That's the result of the tourism fallout, which has left a glut on the market. The short-term plan is to distribute the excess food on the local market. Some stakeholders believe this might be Jamaica's opportunity to feed the region, but there's a caution not to bite off more than we can chew.
We've always seen, certainly for our hotel industry, we've seen where we don't supply, Jamaica does not supply the majority of items that are demanded by the hotels. They can't. So we're talking about export, but realistically we're not even supplying our own hotels. So that is another issue. I think that we have to just be realistic about when we are thinking about the issue. Yes, we should never let a crisis go to waste, but we really have to be very realistic about how we are looking at the issues, or we will never get to a solution.
As for the one-day local food plan, Mr. Fulton has some suggestions.
One-day local food plan would be in the morning to eat some eggs. We have local eggs here. Our bread industry and bakery industry still depend, but we make the bread here. We have plantain, which is here. You have sweet potato, you could fry that. And so you have breadfruit, you could roast, or you could fry breadfruit. So that's a local breakfast plan. We are already self-sufficient in poultry and pork.
Since the outbreak, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, issued this statement. This is a warning from the FAO that we are really paying attention, and we underline the warning that the COVID-19 pandemic could have an impact on world food scarcity or a world food crisis. So with a food import bill just shy of $1 billion, the government is now forced to lean on local farmers as the bedrock of the nation.
The reality is that when you look at what's happening in the world, a lot of countries are closing their borders. So now more than ever, the local farmer is more important than ever before. So I say to my farmers across South St. Elizabeth, across the north, keep planting.
But that's easier said than done. The JAS president admits that it will require collective support to weather the storm ahead.
And this is an opportunity for our entrepreneur and our business class, the owners of supermarket, to shift the pendulum and knock our good production into play, because it has knocked this economy out of kilter for a long time and devalue our dollar. And we could now use this to build an economy, strengthen our dollar, and kick Jamaica up one rung.
And thank you so much, Andrew. We now take a break. More local stories when we return. Please stay with us.
Throughout our